This is one of my favorite films of horror of all time. It does have its causes, controversies. It does have its flaws, but as all my friends know, I know the entire fucking history of this movie. All those flaws aside, because I do defend this film to the end of time, I still enjoy it, and I will too give it a 9 out of 10. The next time you'll see us, we'll probably be a very divided household. The next one we're reviewing is Freddy vs. Jason. I love the movie for what it is, and he hates the movie for what it is. Hello everyone, this is MykeCheck'd95 with another MykeCheck'd Productions MykeCheck'd movie review with my cohorts, Krieger Margin 1 and Jokester. After this review is done, we have one more stinking review, one more of this forsaken series that has driven us through hell, madness, and hellfire again. And this one was Freddy vs. Jason. I'm going to let the two of you go first on your thoughts and your rating and everything before I go on my spiel. Jokester, what was your thoughts on the movie overall?
I have no comment.
Okay, so with that, let me go over the numbers before we start talking about this. So this budget was $25 million, and the box office made $116.6 million. So they made a boatload of money off this movie. So this is exponentially way more money than they've had. And also it's $10 million more budget than they've had in any of the previous movies. As of the overall opinion of the internet, from the critics, they rated this a 4.1, and the audience rated it an even 5.0.
But it made a bunch of money, probably off of
The two characters.
The two characters.
which is stupid.
For me, the acting's terrible. The casting is really bad. It's not super believable. There's gore, but it's not good gore.
It's like chocolate sauce.
I hate Freddy. I've always hated Freddy. His entire story is lame. He had shitty one-liners. They weren't even good one-liners.
Your eyes say no, no, but my mouth says yes, yes.
There was a couple that I wanted to laugh at, but I just couldn't. Like, I really wanted to laugh at them. But then I thought about them for a single second.
Got your nose!
It's also very hard for somebody to laugh at somebody like Freddy, because he's a raper of children. Even if you're just trying to have fun with the movie and enjoy it, I just can't. The only thing I remotely liked was Jason kicking ass. Remotely. And it wasn't as good as I remembered it. Honestly, my favorite scene was the cornfield scene when Piggy guy catches Jason on fire, and then Jason just goes on a fucking spree. And Jason looks so bad in this film. Like the black head thing, that ruined it for me more than how you guys didn't like the actor. I mean, I think that's fanboying, but I think that he is clunky, and the new director didn't do a good job of this film. The fucking Freddy worm, are you kidding me? A Freddy worm?
When was the last time you saw this film from start to finish?
Since I was a child, and it was awful. I have terrible memories in my brain about how bad this movie is. And I thought Jason Goes to Manhattan was the worst. But this is the worst Jason movie I have ever seen, and I thought this was in my head, and I reiterate it. I am rating it a 2 because I hate it so much.
Good, I thought I was the only one that felt bad about this movie. I don't know anything about Freddy, and I don't think I want to know anything about Freddy. So I'm just going to rate this on a movie with Jason, since that's why we're watching it. First off, I do not like the Jason costume. The big heavy boots and the sound is cool, and there's a lot more of it, but that's about as far as I like it. I agree with Mr. Krieger over here that he's clunky. He seems slow, like extremely slow, which is one of the reasons we didn't like some of the older Jasons in some of the other movies, was he's way too slow. Jason doesn't do any of the fun Jason stuff. He doesn't teleport. He does a lot of hacking, but he doesn't do any what I consider Jason character. He's not appearing in different places and doing spooky things. He's just kind of off in the distance and slowly crawls toward people. He doesn't talk, but he has communication with his mother, which
That's
I don't
always
like.
been there.
That's always been there.
That's always been there.
That's always been there since day one.
This felt like a money grab. From the first scene.
Well, the mother was really weird because the mother scenes, one, it was Freddy, but it made no sense. Jason does not stay in Crystal Lake or have anything to do with Crystal Lake, which is the reason 8 got such a low review for me. I feel like Jason isn't Jason. I mean, he is Jason, and he wears the mask and does stuff, but he doesn't follow what I would consider normal Jason attitude based on the movies that I have seen. The other is the costume. I realize there's a point in the movie where Jason turns into a baby kid, but he looks like a baby kid. His clothes look like they don't fit him. He just looks like slimy snake skin. And his head looks way too small for that mask, and the mask is always down and slightly off the side of his face. It looks like this. Like it looks like this.
But his face is supposed to be dysmorphed, so maybe that was them trying to do that. And the black, he wasn't Jason Goes to Hell, so he was technically dragged to hell. Maybe it was it was probably a cheap ploy, but maybe it was something along the lines that he's no longer human, he's something in between, because last time he resembled the Thing.
The other Jason, yes. Yeah. Another reason why I don't like Jason in this movie is Jason is afraid of water. I know we talked about it a little bit, but that's one of the stupidest things ever.
So,
because Jason, he doesn't love water, but he uses it to his advantage. And I was like, well, he's afraid of water, like swimming water. No, he still swims in water. He swims very fast. He pops out of water. He pretty much lives in the lake. He is a sea monster. The water he's afraid of is water coming down. But every time he goes to Crystal Lake and kills people, it's almost always raining. And so for him to be afraid of rain is stupid.
Maybe. Okay, so let's think about this. They're in the boiler room.
The boiler room, yeah, that's Freddy's
that could be considered the lungs of a building. So technically, maybe he's afraid of drowning, and the water is falling inside of what would be considered the lungs of a building. So that would make sense, because that reminds me of him of when he died, when he was young, the trauma he went through, and the whole reason
that scene doesn't make any sense. Him drowning and Freddy dunking him in the water does make sense, but he's like dying before that even gets to that scene, which was kind of confusing for me. I have to agree with Krieger. I did not like the acting. There was almost no believable acting, even from the beginning. And so it's like, okay, well, they're trying to be cheesy and sarcastic. Like, okay, well, that means that it's a comedy movie and a mashup movie. Doesn't feel like a mashup, doesn't really feel like a versus for most of the movie until the end when they have their fight, which I don't like when people drag out the main story of the movie until the end of the movie. The other thing that I didn't like about it is it's not funny.
I feel like I was watching Scary Movie 1
yeah,
at the beginning.
It's not funny at all. And it's like, oh, I can't do it, so I'll have him do it. It felt like, like a cheer. If Freddy can't do it, Jason can't. Wait, kill Jason. We don't like Jason, but we like Jason. The other thing that there were plot holes, and I did fill them, but they filled them in one of the worst ways ever. And it's just, everybody sits around a table and describes the entire movie in 5 seconds, and then people who are not listening automatically know what's going on. Girl sitting, she's falling asleep, whatever. They wake her up and she goes, oh, wow, that conversation you guys had while I was sleeping? Yeah, I remember it. Let's talk about that. She didn't know nothing. She's asleep.
And nobody said Freddy at all. And
no.
That scene was so aggravating. She's just like, what was the name? What was the name?
Yeah.
Freddy! It's Freddy! You're like, oh my god.
Yeah. It really, really cheesy. Over the top.
Goober.
Not funny anyway, and not scary. The only scary scene, I mean, kind of scary, was when she has that dream. When I say scary, I wasn't afraid, but it was dark. It had some lure to it. It had this waning tone in the music, really good. Then after that, it's just like, I'm gonna chop you up. I do like the concept, Jason going around and killing people in the cornfield. The problem with that is, Jason doesn't kill people in broad daylight in a huge crowd.
Like just slash.
He just runs into everybody, and there's 3 minutes later, they're still standing there going, wait, is he not going to cut me? Oh, there he cuts me, now I can fall down. So I don't like this movie. I have not found any science that I disappreciate.
There wasn't really any science in this movie, it was all just dream-based.
I do think it's really weird, the whole relationship thing. Oh, it's my boy, I lost him, where'd he go? Oh no, he's in an asylum, and as long as they show their butt, they can escape. They did tell some story in that, but it seems everybody doing stuff just seems way too simple. There wasn't barely any death. The only death that I saw, like maximum death, is Jason kills 3 people in the beginning. The girl, by accidentally stabbing through this other dude.
The cornfield.
Yeah. And then the cornfield, which was stupid shit. It shouldn't have happened.
He killed the cop.
He killed several people at the cornfield.
And,
But I don't like the cornfield
Pothead.
scene. Like, Jason doesn't kill anybody in cool ways other than the 3 people at the beginning.
the bed kill.
Yeah, so the 3 people
The bed
at
kill was
beginning
the only kill.
end up stabbing the girl with the pipe. And then after that, you completely give it up and it's just slashy, 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 slash.
The only time I was like, wow, that's Jason, was in the bed scene, and everything else throughout the whole movie, I was just like, that's not Jason.
What's your rating of this?
Insert rating of the 8 and put it under.
This film just isn't enjoyable for me, and I was really not looking forward to watching this. And then before we started watching this, I was hopeful, and I was like, you know, maybe I remember this wrong. Maybe this is a good film. And then 30 seconds in the movie, I was like, never mind. This is awful.
This movie feels like it's supposed to be a versus, and there wasn't much of a versus. It was, oh, I kind of throw you at the wall. Oh, I make funny pinball sounds. Oh, it doesn't really hurt you. Oh, you chop my head off, but it doesn't really do anything. And I'm giving it a rating of like a 1 for enjoyability, like a 2 for Jasonness, and like would I want to watch this movie again? Probably not. So it rounds out to about a 1.5. And the reason other than the weird pinball scene, one reason I don't like this is head tilt.
It's my turn now, and I know both of these guys are expecting the most obscene, out of left field fucking rating right now. Yes, this film went through development hell since 1993, 94. I have the actual years right here. And they went through, you said 16 scripts?
Yes.
They went through 16 scripts after they got the rights of Jason from Paramount after Part 8 bombed. I give credit where it's due, because they actually put something out there. And I'm like, okay, it's whatever. But my problem is that like I went through and I've actually read some of the ideas they had for scripts and everything, and I'm like, wow, this sounds so much better. This sounds a whole hell lot better too. Why didn't they just do this or that?
Like
and I'm just like, it has to be just the fact that I think Paramount was still fighting with New Line, or just the fact that they couldn't find anyone to like agree on a story, and they were like, oh, there was no arguing or whatever, and now we agreed on the story since day one. And I'm like, that's got to be bullshit, because why are we?
Because I do defend this film to the end of time. I still enjoy it.
My biggest issue with this movie is the cannon fodder characters, the teens. I don't like these characters at all. They're just like, it's like they're reading a teleprompt as they're on camera.
Oh no, I'm dying.
And
Fall down.
my other issue is the person they picked for Jason. I honestly think he's too tall for this. I think he's too clunky. I think he's too slow and everything. If they would have picked Kane Hodder, the man who's been doing it the last 4 times before this movie, I feel like that would have been the best guy to do, because he's had the most experience as of late when it came to this film came out. Freddy, I respect Robert Englund to death and whatnot, but just at this point, he's ran out of good one-liners. He's ran out of good ideas. It just seems outdated. Like, yes, this is like God knows how many years since this film came out. It's 2021. This came out in 03. I feel like, and this film itself, even in 03, it feels dated then. And not even like, the more times I watch this, the more that I'm like, wow, this film really went through hell when they were trying to get it done. And I'm not gonna lie, like this time through, I actually kind of had a hard time getting through it, because I was actually trying to watch this at a more critique kind of way instead of a fanboy kind of way. And the only thing I really enjoyed, even though for how clunky it was because of Jason, was the last like maybe 20 minutes when the two of them were fighting at Crystal Lake. That is the only thing that I actually enjoyed in this movie, was the fighting. That is about it. And even with that, it was clunky, it was corny because all the fucking added in sound effects. And my main problem with like the director they picked is that he had no idea what the fuck he was doing, yet he directed and released Bride of Chucky back in 1994, and it's like, how do you not know what the fuck you're doing? When you've made a slasher film before.
And also, what you're talking about with the director, I don't think it was the casting with Jason as much. I think it's what the director was looking for.
No.
He was wanting a certain image of Jason.
What the
so
fuck?
He found an actor that would
He
fit
picked-
that
okay,
mold.
you know-
He told him to be big, clunky, and slow.
Do you know?
And stupid.
Do you know what guy they picked? I don't know if you guys want to recall this because we've all blocked this movie out of our memory. But the part in Manhattan when they're in the cafe and he grabs the dude and throws him into the mirror, the guy that Jason grabs and throws in the mirror, that guy he threw is Jason in this movie.
So I don't blame the actor at all. I blame the director because I feel like the director was off.
I want to bring up a point real quick when it came to your Rob Zombie idea. I am kind of wondering what he would have done, but my issue with Rob Zombie doing it is that every fucking movie he does, he has some fucking redneck hillbilly, boy, I tell you what, suck my and lick my while you're at it going on. Like, we don't need hillbilly shit in here.
He probably
We had that.
He probably would have made Freddy a hillbilly.
Take the hillbilly stuff and amplify it by 1,000, and that's what would have happened. Because every Rob Zombie horror film has hillbilly bullshit from start to finish, and it's amplified. That's why I don't like his movie. I'm usually a fan of this movie, and both you know it for sure. But like I said just a few minutes ago, I had a really rough time watching this because of just I was trying to look at it at a critic kind of way, and looking at it as okay. Comparing it to the rest of the entire Jason series. And on top of that, it's not really a Jason movie or a Friday the 13th film. It's a Freddy movie. And Jason, I mean, yeah, he's killing people, but he turns out to be like an anti-hero at the end.
And one of the coolest, most creative kills outside of the first one, you don't even see. You just see, oh, there's a pipe in these people now. And then Freddy's like, I'm pissed off. No, mommy's gotta spank the little boy. Also, Jason and Freddy bled too much for undead
That would
evil
have to
creatures.
be a director, producer, and a special effects
Which is
collaboration right there.
The other thing is, there was a lot of blood gushing. I mean, but if you look at the blood gushing, it was so bad. It was like somebody took a sticker. It was like there wasn't like blood
How many blood
gushing.
bags do you think that they?
No, it wasn't blood bags. It was like the CGI blood spatter that
There
you
was
see in a video game.
there was some CGI in there.
Every
for the
time
blood
that
spatter.
Jason cut somebody, it was the same. Just
If I had to compare these to the film, to like the last other ones we've watched, I would honestly watch this film again over Part 8, Part 5, and Part 9. But if I were to compare it to 1 through 4, 6, and 6, 7, and 10, I would not watch this over any of those at all. Like, I would choose any of those films over the crossover again. But really, for me, if I were to go down to the nitty gritty as to why this movie was a huge problem for me, it was the story, the writing, the choices that were made, the story that they stuck with was my hugest problem with this film.
Random trivia about the film. One of the 12 scripts I was reading earlier was awful, terrible. They wanted to have Freddy have a connection with Jason where he had sex with his mother and he is Jason's father.
Yeah, I read that one.
that would be the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
And then he was gonna make
Okay.
he was gonna gloat it in his face that he had sex with his mother in his dreams.
It was cool, Jason ripping off Freddy's arm, and then the scene where it flips to them all in the water, and then oh, I'm on the dock. Oh, it's the blade. It's probably Jason. No, it's Freddy. And then the arm comes through. That was pretty cool. But then it didn't end there. Like the girl had to like chop his head off. And
That makes me angry. So I'm sure you know this, Mike. Starting in the early 1990s, they wanted to do a crossover versus Michael Myers versus Jason, but they thought they were too similar and they wanted a big difference between both sides.
That would have been so much better than this one.
It would have. You could have been spooky. It could have been cool. There could have been more of like a fighting. This was like, no, this is my soul blood gutting, gushing, happy joy day.
There was also a end credit scene that they were wanting to do where at the very end, after like the explosion where they both died or whatever, they're gonna have the two of them fight in hell again at the very end, and then they're gonna have like hooks come out of nowhere and like hook onto him and pull him up like this, like pin him up or whatever, and then fucking Pinhead from Hellraiser is gonna be like, what seems to be the problem here? And then end.
Filming only lasted 53 days.
I wonder why.
I think it was because like they waited too long to get a script down, and then they were rushed because like they had to go to a certain release date because New Line. Again, I feel like Paramount's out of hand in this.
The story also felt very rushed for them taking.
There was a
this
lot. There was a
long to
lot
make
cut
damn
out
movie.
too. There was a lot cut out.
One of the biggest problems we had with the film was Jason being afraid of water. It was specifically requested in the director, his last name was Yu's contract, that he can add plot holes, that he could change backstories for characters, and the one that he was very particular about is he wanted Jason to be afraid of water.
That doesn't make any
That
fucking
is
sense.
some stupid
That
shit. Because
was-
he literally is like, "Yay, I'm in water now! Yay! I'm back in my lake."
I really hate that. I really hate that I'm going to give this a rating lower than I usually do. But I aside from your guys' opinions right here and now, I really had a rough time going through this movie, and it honestly kind of broke my Friday the 13th heart. Seeing this film like starting to bug me.
Blame it on the 4K.
I am blaming it on the amount of fucking bullshit this movie had to go through just to come out. Because I mean,
Waited way too long for a bunch of stupid.
it's 10 years too. It's a 10 years too late cash grab that was dated back then. And it's fucking dated now. But again, I still enjoy it more than Part 5, 8, and 9. So it's not gonna get anything higher than a 6, but it's not gonna get anything lower than a 3. I'm honestly gonna have to go with probably, I would say a 4, 4.5, just because like, again, I still enjoy it a bit more than those other 3 films, but as an overall, comparing it to the rest of the entire series, it is like one of like the weaker ones in the series. So, are there any more final thoughts before we close this review out, and then be thanking God that we'll be done with this last movie the next time?
I can't wait to review a good movie.
We're
One of the
done.
biggest plot holes, and one of the reasons it's also got a low rating, how they found their information. Nobody knows a damn thing. All of a sudden, everybody knows everything. Like, even about Jason, even though they don't know who the heck this dude is, or
That's-
how freaking far away he is from this place.
That's because that was a lot of stuff that also got taken out of the script or cut or just rushed. That's, again, they wanted to crunch it down to
Stupid cop goes to the teens. Don't worry, I'm not here to bust you for weed. I'm here to help you. Gets killed.
And like you
He gets
think,
killed
and
in
like
2
you
minutes.
think like he's gonna have a bigger role in this movie, and with like 10 minutes of say he's gonna help him,
Yeah,
he's
because-
dead. This is MykeCheck'd 95 here, signing out with another MykeCheck'd Productions MykeCheck'd movie review with my cohorts.
Pre-margin 1.
And
Jokester.
be thankful that we only have one more left, and I pray to God that the same thing doesn't happen to me watching the next one happen to watching this last film, because I love this next film, which is the remake, and if I end up hating it when we watch it, I'm going to legitimately bang my head on this table.
Slasher movie reviewers, unite!
Accidentally impaled me.
And